Ladies and gentlemen, the Honourable Tony Abbott, Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. President, Prime Minister, parliamentary colleagues, distinguished guests, it is indeed an honour to follow our Prime Minister in formally welcoming President Obama to Australia. As the leader of the United States, sir, you are the world's president, because no other country has such a place in the life and such a hold over the imaginations of people across the globe. As Prime Minister Gillard has said, watching the moon landing in 1969 convinced her that there was nothing that America and Americans could not achieve. The moon landing, sir, was special for me too. My teachers didn't think it was important enough to interrupt classes for, so I absconded to a friend's house to watch the broadcast. It was the only time in my life I ever wagged school, and I'd like to think that I did it for America. The subsequent corporal punishment, I suppose that was for America too. A small price to pay for watching history in the making and cheering for the country which at that moment was acting for all humanity. Years later, sir, as a student in Oxford, I felt instantly at home amongst the English, only to discover after 6 months that nearly all of my friends were American. Perhaps it was just the solidarity of strangers. More likely it was the natural affinity that Americans and Australians have for each other. It was an American who not only taught me the Star-Spangled Banner, but insisted that I sing it in the Soviet Union, no less, in 1982. It was an American who persuaded me to become a boxer, an American Jesuit, the ultimate muscular Christian. From the American sealers and whalers who were an important part of our national economy back in the 1800s, the officers and men of the Great White Fleet who were given perhaps the most tumultuous welcome ever extended to any visitors to our shores, General Pershing's men who went to war for the first time under General Monash in the Battle of Hamel, to the countless Americans and Australians at all times and in all places who instantly warmed to each other's informality and readiness to have a go. Our citizens are not strangers to each other. English-speaking peoples never really are. I was reminded of this, sir, on a recent visit to Afghanistan. Only a senior American officer would have invited an image-conscious politician to test fire a heavy machine gun, and only an Australian alternative Prime Minister would have been rash enough to do so. But for all the instinctive bonds, there can still be misunderstandings. On my first trip to the United States as a parliamentarian, the US Information Agency briefed my hosts that I was a ferocious Liberal and deeply anti-Republican, which meant that I spent most of the fortnight being introduced to communists. The very concept of the office I hold as an institutional critic of government is foreign to your notions of a powerful and unifying president. Indeed, the nearest thing you have to an opposition leader is probably an editorial in the Wall Street Journal. But a good thing it is to have a shadow government to keep the official one on its toes. Regardless, sir, of their normal political affiliations, millions of Australians took pride in your election as President because it showed that America could live up to its dreams and that Americans were capable of judging people by the content of their characters rather than the colour of their skin. In similar vein, I am very proud that an Aboriginal has finally been elected to the Australian House of Representatives as a member of the Liberal National Coalition. Mr. President, we too are a country that has beckoned to the poor, the huddled masses yearning to be free. We too are a country spreading across a continent from sea to shining sea. We too are one nation, indivisible under God, with liberty and justice for all. And at least in this country, sir, the President of the United States stands for power tempered with goodwill, wealth with justice, and energy with wisdom. So naturally, we could hardly have amongst us a more welcome guest.